Enjoying Life Over the Road, a community that champions adventure, innovation, and well-being.
Welcome to Enjoying Life OTR. My name is Cindy.Tunstall, and I'm your host. Scott White is my guest today. He's been trucking for 36 years, and he has so much wisdom to share. I love this conversation. We talked about finding balance between family time while OTR. That's a really big struggle for a lot of us, and he was really honest about it and shared some things that have helped him find a really good balance between work and family. He also shared about the importance about finding the type of work that's going to fit your needs. He made a significant change recently, so this talk was very fresh. And, you may even be considering, thinking this type of work isn't right for you. So he had some really good things to share about that. So I think it may give you some insights that may be helpful if that's something you're struggling with. We did some reminiscing about the industry and how it's changed over the years, and I always enjoy those conversations. It was so much fun. But probably my favorite part of the conversation was we talked about driver burnout, depression, and loneliness. And although those topics are really horrible because they're really tough issues, but what I really liked about this conversation was he's able to, look back over his journey and share some ways to recognize when you're starting to slip into those patterns and those painful issues. But he also shares some really practical ways that he's discovered that help avoid those things. So, he's really enjoying life over the road. And so he has some great practical things to share that I think will really make a difference, whether you're brand new to this industry or you've been trucking for many years. There's just so much great stuff. So I'm really excited that you're going to get to hear this conversation because we just had a great time. So I know you're going to enjoy it as well. So stay tuned. This is a good one. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Well, thank you for having me. Everybody calls me Scooter.
Okay, Scooter, thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm excited to share your story. Okay, so I always like to do a little background because, truckers want to know who we're talking to. So how long have you been in the trucking industry?
I've been in the industry for 36 years and an owner-operator for 30.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So what type of truck are you running now, and what kind of freight have you run in the past?
Well, I run a 2007 Freightliner Classic, and I run specialized freight. I have a liftgate trailer. And for 34 years of my life, I was in the moving and storage business.
Oh, nice. So you made a change recently. Tell me a little bit about that. What made you transition to what you're doing now? Tell me what you were doing in the past.
As a mover, you go in somebody's house and you pack things in boxes and you carry the furniture out to the trailer. You have to load the trailer, and then when you get to destination, you have to unload the trailer, and sometimes you have to unpack the boxes. And my body's just taken a good enough beating for 34 years, so I wanted something a little bit different. I decided to do specialized freight.
Nice. Well, I love that. I can appreciate that. I have friends that are doing household goods, and I'm like, man, that is too much work.
It is.
It's not for me. Okay, so my show is Enjoying Life OTR. So I always like to ask drivers, what are some things that you're doing outside the truck? And, we have this great opportunity to travel all over the country, and there's lots of opportunities to do fun things, but we're always working, so we're driving, so we're not getting to do a lot of sightseeing, but every once in a while, we get to do something fun on the side. Do you have a story like that you could share with us?
I actually can tell you a couple different things. I don't truck like everybody else trucks.
Okay.
I never have.
Okay.
The back of my truck says 2-lane outlaw.
Okay.
I travel a lot of 2-lane interstates.
Nice.
Because I want to see Americana. You can't see Americana going down an interstate.
Yes.
It doesn't work.
Yes.
So I go through small towns and different places, and then I'm a foodie on top of this. So I'm not an exercise kind of guy. I do walk, but I love food, especially barbecue.
Yes.
So I always try to find different places to try along my routes. But
and
that's how I truck.
I love that. I love that so much. So tell me about how are you finding these good places? You're just randomly stopping on something along the path, or how you're finding these good places to stop for good food?
Well, sometimes it's random. Sometimes if I'm making a delivery in a small town, I'll ask them about, who has their best restaurant in town, or who makes the best burger in town, or who has the best barbecue.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I do the same.
like that. But it's all in my travels. I do a lot of research and places to map out. So even when I'm not in the truck and I go home, my wife and daughter and I go traveling.
Oh, fun.
And we're always on backs. You know, you have to take some interstates because that's the way life is nowadays.
Yes.
But I do travel a ton of back roads. It's just the way I like to travel.
Yeah, I love that as well. So great. You know, I don't know if I've told you this, I have a website, elotr.com. I created this website for truckers to be able to put their favorite places down. You know, you stumble across something great, and maybe you're in Minnesota in this little small town, but you found this great diner that had a place for you to park your truck. You know, so I want us to be able to share those places. So when another driver is passing through Minnesota, you know, they can go there. So we kind of eliminate some of the legwork, you know, as we're trip planning, because I really want us all to, you know, be able to make the most of the opportunity to travel, but without us having to duplicate the work every time. So anyway, I'd love for you to join our community and put some of your great stops on there.
I will tell you the sad thing of being in this industry for so long, because I started life as a 15-year-old runaway. And 3 days after I ran away from home, I was picked up by a Beacon's Van Lines driver. So that's how I got in the move-in storage business.
Wow.
All your diners and all your small mom and pop truck stops and all the little restaurants, they're going to the wayside.
Yeah.
They're disappearing every single day, and COVID didn't help any.
Right.
And, you know, if you don't go and visit these places now, they're not going to be here later. There's so many truck stops that are gone now, and that's part of the enjoyment of life, is meeting people. It's human internet action. This is why you have a podcast and you've developed websites and Facebook pages, is for people to talk.
Yes.
And that's why I live the way I live, where I travel back roads. And there's a little diner that's over here in Pennsylvania on Highway 30. He's selling out after 47 years.
Oh, wow.
Been owned by the same man for 47 years. He's got a truck parking in the back. And what happens? A truck stop opens up down the road from him.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's kind of sad. It really is. But
well, this is another part of my motivation for the website as well. So we could kind of, I not only want to, have a place that truckers are easy to find, but I also want to honor those people that have been good to us over the years. And, you know, we have a whole generation of new truck drivers coming in, and I still want to, get them to stop at those places that have been good to truckers, because, I want to return that favor to them as well, because they've been good to us over the years. And I want people to continue to, visit those places, because I want to return the favor, so to speak.
Absolutely. You can only eat so much fast food.
I know. Well, and I also like the local cuisine too, because every region kind of has its own vibe, and
exactly.
I don't like the national chains. It's like that gets old.
Well, think about it. If you deliver to New York City, you get a dirty water hot dog from a vendor on the side of the street.
Right.
But then you go to Chicago, and Chicago has a completely different hot dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't realize that.
Yeah.
There's regions think about this. Okay. You have a Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what a Philly cheesesteak is. But then you get a Chicago beef, and that's nothing like a Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah, so fun.
See, you got to try the different foods of the region. I mean, that's all part of experiencing life. It's to do as much as you can and have fun doing it.
Yeah, I think so much of the time we get stuck in our routine of our, the work and stopping at a truck stop, and it just takes a little bit more effort to get out. And I think over the long haul, it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience for the driver. So, a happier, more whole life. So, tell me about some other fun things you've done when you're traveling.
Oh, well, first of all, I like the places that I get to go, because, like I said, they're off the beaten path. So sometimes I might go down a trail, okay? Or I find a museum to go see. And I love cars, so anytime there's a car show, I've gone to different car shows. One year, I followed the barbecue circuit. I took loads around just so I could try different barbecues at different tournaments.
Awesome. What a great idea.
There's all kinds of great things that you can do in this country, and the problem is most people don't even know what's in their own backyard. So when you go traveling, pick a museum. Like a great example, I'm close to Allentown, Pennsylvania. So why don't you just bobtail over if you have downtime, and go over and see the plant where they build Mack trucks. I have a friend of mine who's also leased onto the same company I'm leased onto. The other day, him and his wife had downtime, and they bobtailed over to the Hershey factory and learned all about Hershey chocolate.
So fun. I love it.
There's so much to do in life. Look, the problem is, I'll tell you a sad story, Miss Cindy.
Okay.
There's a TA truck stop in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Okay? We all know the food in that TA truck stop is not the world's best. You could walk the equivalent of about a quarter of a mile and be in downtown Nashville. Get out and go explore. Enjoy life.
Yeah, now we can take an Uber and it's not that much. It's like this.
Oh,
hop into
exactly.
town.
And that's changed the trucking industry a lot now, too, because a bunch of us will get together and we'll Uber somewhere or, because you don't call a cab anymore.
Yeah.
So there's really no excuse not to go out and explore where you're at and when you have downtime.
Yeah.
Now watch this. I'm going to blow your mind. Have you ever been to Key West?
No, I haven't.
All right, I'm going to tell you something. There's a buoy, a big concrete buoy at the bottom of Key West in the city, and it says the southernmost point of the United States. I have one picture on my phone, and I think I have 3 other trucks that I've taken pictures of with that buoy. You can't get a dually pickup truck to that buoy anymore.
Oh, wow.
There's no truck driver ever going to duplicate that photo, and I have a truck and trailers next to that buoy.
Yeah, send me pictures.
That's what I'm telling
I
you.
want that.
Times have changed.
Wow.
So I will send you a whole bunch of pictures that I have of my trucks and the different times and changes. But yes, it is.
Yeah, I would love that.
Different.
Okay, Scott. So I have to get you on my website. When I before the show airs, I'll get your login and tell people how they can get in touch with you there and follow your adventures.
Okay.
I'd love that. Okay, Scott, well, you've been driving for a long time, so you obviously enjoy the work. What would you say to some new drivers that are just getting into the industry about making the most of this lifestyle? Because obviously your family and things have, grown and changed over the years. Like, what advice would you give to a new driver, male or female?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't sugarcoat things. Trucking is a hard life. It's a lot of fun, but you're either born to do it or not. You either have that nomadic gene where you can go and leave your family and do this, or you will be miserable. Yeah. That is the truth. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. And it takes a strong family to understand the life of a truck driver.
Yes, it does.
This is all I've ever wanted to do since I was a little boy.
Yeah.
My grandfather drove for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to serve my country. I wanted to join the military. I was not accepted into the military. So my trucking career at 15, just stayed with me.
Yeah.
As when I left home at 15, and this is the difference of today, I was taught to inspect the truck. You have to do that nowadays. I see a lot of truck drivers today do not do pre-trips and post-trips.
Yeah.
It is important that you do these things. Make sure your equipment is safe.
Yeah.
And as for being on the road, you have to occupy your mind. And today, Cindy, it is 1,000 times better.
Yes.
Okay, you have FaceTime, you have social media, you have cell phones that seem to be in everybody's hands all the time. We didn't have that when I started trucking.
Yeah.
You stood in line at a truck stop to get to the payphone.
Wow.
And then
it's
people don't understand this.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like when I first started trucking, we would leave with money, go to destination, and then you would call in. Some of us small trucking companies, I used to get Western Union.
Oh, wow.
They would Western Union money to the truck stop so I could put fuel in the truck and then head back.
Oh, wow. Yeah, very different.
And so today it's easier for a person to be over the road. And a lot of these mega fleets, I see it, they are trying to get people more home time, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I mean, they're addressing the driver turnover. People are leaving the industry, and so I think they're trying to accommodate that, and that's great. There's lots of great companies out there, so I love it.
And driver turnover is always going to be in the trucking industry.
Sure.
It always has been in the trucking industry. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to change tomorrow.
Right.
But being on the road and finding, I have told everybody for years, you have to find a home. You have to find a company where you feel that you are appreciated, you feel that they take care of you, and that's the main goal, whether an owner-operator or a company driver. But it is a very hard life out here on the road, and sometimes it is extremely lonely out here on the road.
Yeah. I think we have to be really intentional, take advantage of all those tools and reach out to people. And, when we get to a truck stop, to be intentional, to have a conversation and, just to meet with people and, share a meal with somebody.
When I started, Cindy, the CB was the communication. That was the social media network.
Yeah, it was.
And you would be on the CB.
Yeah.
Okay. You would talk to each other going down the highway. They helped keep you awake. They made the hours and the miles go by. And then you went into a truck stop and you would sit down at a counter or a table and drivers talked.
Yeah.
Well, like we just said before, look at the truck stops. The restaurants are going away.
Yeah.
There's really not an interaction spot for truck drivers to speak anymore unless it's on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. And that has its pros and cons as well.
Exactly.
Well, I am grateful for the opportunity to connect with other people, but when you're on the drive time, the missing the CB radio is like not as much chatter on there anymore, so it's just a little different.
It is. I will always have my CB. I cannot be without one. It's just the old school things that I hang on to.
Yeah, it's good. Well, tell us some other fun things that have happened over the years. You got any favorite stories you want to share?
Well, I've moved a lot of celebrities when I was a mover, and I've been to a lot of different things. I've got to haul artwork. Sometimes you haul artwork and exhibits, and there's concerts and things like that. Trade shows. Some of the trade shows are actually really fun to deliver to.
Yeah.
It's everybody picks a niche too. It's some people just like doing reefer freight, and some guys like doing general freight.
Yeah.
Me, I always like an adventure.
Yeah.
That's why I haul a liftgate trailer and do specialized freight.
Fun.
Because I could wind up just picking up anything or everything. When you go into a library, here's something that most people don't do anymore. So in a public library, there's these big fiberglass play sets that children can climb on and go through, and they're like little jungle gyms inside the library. I've hauled some of that.
Oh, wow.
So it's always something different and always something new with what I like to haul.
Yeah. So tell us about some of the celebrities you delivered for. What was that like?
I don't always like mentioning names. So I will tell you that just like normal humans, okay? So here's a good one. There are some customers that you will have. They're like family when you're doing household goods, and you become a part of their family because you're with them for, say, anywhere from 7 to 10 days sometimes. Could be up to 2 weeks, depending on the jobs.
Right.
And there's good people out there and there's bad people. There's some celebrities you're not allowed to have a camera anywhere on their property, and there's some celebrities that you can take pictures with them all day long.
Yeah.
Some athletes are like that too. I've moved a couple NFL players, an NHL player. I've only done one Major League Baseball player. So, hey, it's definitely different. And again, there's people out there, like when you're a big car buff. So here's something for the ladies and gentlemen out there. Hey, when you're a big car buff, there's all kinds of automotive companies that do nothing but haul cars.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're hauling a car for a private individual. Sometimes you're hauling a car for maybe General Motors, Ford, Toyota, and it's an experimental car. And then sometimes you get to go to places like Pebble Beach, Barrett-Jackson Auction, Mecum Auction. So you can always look to do that. And I actually know a guy started in this business about 15 years ago, and he said he wanted to haul for a NASCAR team, and he hauls for a NASCAR team today.
Wow, that's fun. I watched a video recently, and it was a supercar. She had just rolled it, put her lift gate down, and raised it up like an elevator with the car on there, and rolled it in. I'm like, man, that would be fun. Anyway, it looks like a job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she was loving it. So fun.
So think about that too. As a truck driver, you don't always have to pull a refrigerated trailer or a dry van or a step deck. And there's guys that leave step deck and they go to RGN, and there's guys that pull trailers that have 20 axles underneath them, as an example.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of opportunities. The trucking industry, to me, is something that's so unique. You're not trapped in an office. You don't punch a time clock per se. You do nowadays with an ELD, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But you can always change and learn something new.
So good.
Where else can you do that?
Yeah, that's so great. So how have you balanced your time on the road with your family? Got any tips for drivers that are making that work?
Absolutely. I have a good woman that dispatches me. When she's tired of me, she puts me on the road, and when she wants me to come home, she sends me home. No, it's not that bad.
She's like, I got a long trip planned for you. Take the hint.
You have to balance this. I tell everybody that there has to be a form of balance, okay? And here are some ways that you can balance things out. Before I came to the company I'm leased to now, I didn't have any issues before. Now my daughter has to wait until she's 12 years old to be on the truck. But a great example would be in February, I hauled a trade show to Las Vegas. And I flew my wife and daughter to Las Vegas, and we spent 10 days in Vegas.
Oh, I love that. So fun.
And then you go and adventure, and look, I take my daughter. My daughter's been to 28 states already. She's 10 years old.
Fun.
So you can do this as an educational purpose. And for guys that don't have children, why not fly your girlfriend or wife out to where you're going to be, and you're there for a weekend?
So good.
Pick an area, like a great example. You said Minneapolis. Okay, so you've never been to Minneapolis before. I don't know a whole lot about Minnesota, even though I live in Wisconsin. But I do know for a fact there's the Mall of America. So you could go to Mall of America. You could use Google, find a nice restaurant. Doesn't have to be an expensive, fancy restaurant. It could be a fun hot dog place. It could be a fun hamburger place. But make a weekend with your significant other or with your wife and children and enjoy life. Doesn't always have to be at the house.
And now you can find, there's also all kinds of websites now that have like cheap last minute flights because those seats are, not booked yet. So there's a lot of ways to, look for a cheap flight to fly somebody out. I didn't think about that. So it could be even last minute within a few days of making the trip.
Last Friday, I had my truck in the shop. They needed a part. Freightliner said my part was on a 57-day back order. I found my own part. I had it shipped to the shop. So I flew home Friday. After I found the part and I knew it was going to be shipped, I took care of everything because I'm an owner-operator.
Yeah.
I flew home back to Wisconsin. I got a round trip to Wisconsin and then Wisconsin back to Pennsylvania for $550.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So you do what you do, and then I picked up my truck yesterday. So it's all about planning. And you know this as well as I do. Some guys have a dedicated run. Have your significant other. My wife and daughter, because we live in Wisconsin, there are times, because my daughter and wife love to travel, they've come to the Iowa 80 and met me as I'm coming west or east. Or they'll meet me in Chicago.
Yeah, nice.
It's only like 2.5 hours from the house. So there's always a way to have quality time and downtime because everybody needs that. I can tell you in 36 years, I've had a couple episodes of severe burnout. And the reason why I got burned out, I would go in the office for a little bit or I did something a little different, but I never left the industry in 36 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes you cannot continually work with no breaks. You can't do it. You will burn out. At least I did. So always have downtime. And truck shows are downtime too.
Yeah, it is. I love it. Yeah, just whatever it is for you, just make sure you're paying attention to what you need,
Exactly.
It's good.
And your children will learn because I have 6 children. My oldest is 32. My youngest is 10. My children understand that truck drivers are important all over the world. This is how things in life get moved. Your food, your clothing, your automobiles, your supplies, everything moves by truck. So my children have always considered what I do very important. And they tell people, my dad has an important job. Yeah. And it's always made me feel good, too.
Yeah, I love that. So good. So great to hear your kids talk about it like that. I love that. Well, you and your wife have instilled that in them, too, to talk about the value. Like, it's not just a loss that you're gone because, you're not just absent. You're doing something good. And I think children can handle that when that's communicated. So I really love that you verbalize that. That's so good. It's important.
And the other thing, like I said, companies today, it's different today. When you went trucking 30 years ago, it was a whole new world. But nowadays, with everything, like I said, there are companies, if you call them and say, look, I need to be home on my wife's birthday or my daughter's birthday or my son's baseball game, some companies really do try to accommodate that for the driver, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, one thing I do love about social media, because I see this regularly, I'll be in a conversation, and somebody will be talking about something that happened with their group, and right away people are coming back, look for other options, because this company and their values and what they're running is just not a good fit for you. So, find something else, and it's a way that we can get some feedback about, finding a company that fits, how we like to run. So I love that.
Exactly. And like I said, everybody finds a home.
Yeah.
One company doesn't work for you, but it works for somebody else.
Yeah.
I've learned that. It took me a while to learn that.
Well, and I think about, too, our generation, a younger generation coming up, they're, very much about quality of life. And I really love that sometimes the younger generation, they could talk smack about that. But, I've got young adults myself. So, my kids are grown. I love that about them. They really care about that. It's a really high value. And I really love that the trucking industry is adapting for that, because we don't see, young generations. These kids aren't going to stay in the same careers and do the same job like we did for years. And I really love that about them, though, because it really is about doing the things that are important for you and making your life work. So I think it's good. It's good. I like to hear the companies are adjusting.
Like guys do local work, and there's guys that do dedicated run. They do the same exact thing every week. I would probably go bonkers.
I know. I tried to look, and I'm like, I don't think I could do it.
But there's people that can do it, and there's people that want that, and that's what makes the world go round, is everybody's different, and everybody has a different need.
Yeah, it's good. And I think even just taking responsibility for what yours is, it's like, I think we sometimes can get frustrated, but it's like, just own that. That's how you are, that's how you run, and take care of yourself in that way. So it's good. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to switch gears for you. I care a lot about well-being on the road. What are some things that you've done to stay healthy? And I know you said that that's not your highest priority, but you're still passing your DOT physical because you're still driving. So what are some things that you've done while you're out there that have helped you to maintain your health? Anything you could share about that?
Absolutely. For 34 years, I did physical labor. I carried refrigerators, washer dryers, and dressers on my back up 2 and 3 flights of stairs.
Okay, so what are you doing now?
So I'm going to tell you, okay? I'll be honest with you, Miss Cindy. I have 2 shot knees, a bad hip. I have a hernia I call Herman, and I have 2 bad shoulders. I walk.
Okay, good.
I will tell everybody this, okay? I mean this. I'm a little heavier than where I want to be. So now I cut back on my portion size because I'm a foodie. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If there's brisket and it's good brisket, I'm having brisket tonight.
Yeah.
Right now I'm working on cutting out soda. So I can tell everybody this, and I know this works for a fact. You can cut out soda and you'll lose weight very quickly. That is a fact. That's a proven fact.
Yeah.
And for exercise, because my body is shot, I walk.
Yeah.
I park in the farthest part of the parking lot, and I don't walk laps around the truck stop. Hopefully I'll get there someday. And I mean that. I'm not being funny.
Yeah.
I really hope I achieve that.
Yeah.
But right now I park in the farthest part of the parking lot, and instead of getting French fries like the other day, I got a cheeseburger because I wanted a cheeseburger. I didn't get fries. I got sliced tomatoes.
Oh, nice.
I try to make a little bit healthier choice when I know I'm not eating very good.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to do all that.
Well, I just watched this little clip, and it was talking about dopamine, and it was like how you can do some positive things that are good for your brain health and your mental health. And one of the things it said on there, and I thought this was kind of interesting because it kind of ties in with what you shared. It said set little achievable goals that you could do every day, and that's good for your mental health, and it's like get to check that off. And it's like you said, like I'm going to make a goal. I'm going to park my truck way out, and I'm going to do some walking every day. I'm going to substitute, one food that's a little healthier choice for me, and just to kind of have that little moment with yourself, like I'm doing it. I'm crushing my goals every day. I'm taking care of my body in just little steps. And I think in the long run, we start to see our body changing, and we're getting stronger and healthier. And I think all that's going to pay off really big. And it doesn't have to be a radical shift. So I love what you shared. So good.
The other thing I want to say, and this is for everybody that listens to your podcast, and I say this all the time to people, failure is not bad. I want people to understand this, and this is important. Failure is not bad if you use it. You're trying to diet or you're trying to eat right, and you don't eat right for that meal or that day. You know what? Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
If you fail as an owner-operator in this business, and many people have, okay, You'll learn from your experience. If you are willing to learn from failure, you will make achievements. And if you think that I'm wrong, I want you to look up autobiographies.
Yeah.
There are people like Colonel Sanders didn't make it big until he was 65 years old.
Wow.
He failed 3 times. Abraham Lincoln filed bankruptcy. That was the president of the United States. When you start to look at people, there are a lot of people that failed. Ford Motor Company failed. Henry Ford failed several times.
Yeah.
It's how you get up.
Yeah.
If you get knocked down, get back up and try again. And it doesn't matter if it's your health, your career, your life on the road. You had a bad day today. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. And I believe in that.
I love it. That's such wise counsel. I love it. It's great. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Cindy, I'm going to tell you something. If you use it or don't use it, I got rid of my demon about 2.5, 3 years ago. When I left home at 15 years old, my mother told me I would never amount to anything.
Oh, wow.
And that fueled a burning passion in me that I was afraid of failure.
Yeah.
I have failed in my personal life.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been divorced twice. I've had a rough life, but I've always stayed positive. But I have never failed in business.
Yeah.
And I got burned out.
Yeah.
I mean, you just kept pushing and pushing because I thought that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
And now at 51 years old and 36 years in the trucking industry, I have balanced my life.
So
I am
good.
so happy where I am at now. And I do try to help as many people as I can and keep a balanced life.
Yeah, so good.
Burnout's a dangerous thing in the trucking industry, and so is depression and loneliness.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But people, and you have to understand, we are all stewards of our own ship.
Yeah.
And you have to, no matter what I say, you say, or somebody else says, if they're not willing to put in some effort, you have to put in some effort.
What would you say if I asked you, what were some signs that you were getting burnout? What did that look like for you? Like just really practically?
Your anger will definitely go through the roof. You have a short fuse. You get triggered very easily. Not triggered as in the sense of what they call triggered today, okay? But you get, you'll go off the handle very quickly, or if things aren't the way you were told. Now I just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
I get to the dock and the guy goes, hey, man, I know you're scheduled here for 10 o'clock. I probably can't get to you till noon. All right, bud. If you can't get to me till noon, you can't get to me till noon. I don't get upset anymore.
Yeah.
I try not to. The other things, you'll fall into depression where you start thinking maybe this isn't the right life for me, or I can't do this, or nobody cares about me. I'm just a machine out here. Those are all signs. And I'm not the only one that have those signs. I've talked to a bunch of friends, and we've all gone through that similarity.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. Well, and I think even for somebody that's a new driver, even that's starting to feel some of that, because I'll hear those things from brand new drivers, and I'm just like, you got to tweak something, because there's something in your mindset that's not working. There's something that's out of balance when you're feeling that way. You're feeling victimized out here by the work. So there's something that's out of balance that needs to be tweaked, and we got to pay attention to those things. So I think those were good insights that you just shared there.
Well, here's another thing you got to look at. You've seen the pictures of my truck.
Yeah.
Cindy, I get out of this truck.
Yeah.
I get out of this truck. I have a big sleeper. I have everything in here. I'm sitting in here now comfortable, okay?
Yeah.
But I have to get out of the truck. I don't understand how a guy sits in a truck 24 hours, 7 days a week, watches TV in the truck, eats in the truck, and never leaves the truck. When this truck's parked, I'm gone. When we're done today, I'm going over to have some breakfast somewhere or some brunch. I'll go walk around. I might go to the mall. I might go to the movies today. You have to get out of the truck.
Yeah, that's good.
You have to. Even if you take a 5-minute walk, and think about this. There's truck stops. I use Pennsylvania over here because that's where I'm at. There's one Pennsylvania truck stop. It's a TA. It's got a Harbor Freight next door. There's a mall about 10 blocks down the street. There's restaurants. Get out and just go for a walk.
Yeah.
Or like you said, get an Uber and leave the truck. If you're here for the night, Google. Go
Yeah.
find something to do for a little bit.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I'm going to wrap up here in just a minute. Anything else you want to share before we close out the show? I love what you've shared.
What I can tell everybody is trucking to me, it's the greatest job in the world. And I mean that. People go, oh, he's crazy or he's just saying that. Nope, this is all I ever wanted to do was drive a truck.
Yeah.
I've got to have great times. I've made great friends in this business. I've got to drive some really cool equipment that isn't around anymore. Some days I sit there and I think about this. My first truck had spring suspension. It had a scissor seat with a shock absorber. It didn't have air ride. I didn't have AC in my first truck. I didn't have power steering in my first truck. And it had an AM radio.
Oh, wow.
And you look at the trucks today.
I know.
Today I have a big mega sleeper with my own shower and toilet and my own kitchen and satellite TV and a fridge and freezer and air fryers and convection ovens. I mean, trucking is all what you make of it. I will tell you that. Trucking is all about what you make of it.
Yeah, so good.
That's all I can tell you.
Okay, Scott, if people want to reach out to you, you have so much wisdom, and maybe somebody wants to connect with you, how could they get in touch with you? Are you on social media or anything like that?
I am on social media. People can see me I'm on a bunch of Facebook pages. It's Scott White. That is my name.
Okay.
And most people know my truck. It's a big white Freightliner Classic with a big sleeper on it. I just had breakfast with a guy yesterday that recognized me from social media.
Nice.
So I'm very easy to find.
Okay, good. Well, Scott, I appreciate you for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom. You had some really great insight about making the most of this life, and I'm so grateful for all the work that you've done over the years and all the things that you've done to take care of your equipment to help keep our roads safe, and the way you've looked out for other drivers. I just think you have so much wisdom, and I'm so grateful for our time together. So thanks for coming on the show.
Not a problem, ma'am. If you ever need anything, just reach out. I'm always easy to find.
Okay, good. Well, you be safe out there and enjoy your journey. Hey, don't forget to check out our community at elotr.com. It's a social media network just for truckers. So make some notes, share your ideas, leave reviews, and post lots of pictures. We want to hear about the many ways that you are enjoying life over the road. Thanks so much. I sure appreciate you. Be safe out there, and by all means, enjoy the journey.